If only the brothers Grimm were alive today and covering Michigan politics, they'd find some fairy tale material with Michigan's Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. I'm thinking of the darker fairy tales like Hansel and Gretel, where brother and sister are expecting a good meal and a nice place to rest, but wind up trapped inside a house of somebody who wants to eat them. Or Little Red Riding Hood, where she is anticipating a benevolent grandmother, but winds up with the big bad wolf. I realize the ballot proposal that created this redistricting commission was approved by Michigan voters, but I do think that the more than 5-to-1 fundraising advantage may have been a bit one-sided. It's time to acknowledge the slick-sounding rhetoric of our state that was sold to our state does not match up with the reality we are finding ourselves in today. The Redistricting Commission is a failure. The proposal was advertised as a grassroots effort from within Michigan. There were some elements of that, certainly. But the reality is the campaign was overwhelmingly supported by millions of dollars from out-of-state liberal groups, financed mostly by undisclosed donors, bent on advancing their own nationwide agenda. As usual, with proposals like this, we hear promises to take a problem and innovate with something entirely new. Instead, new problems are created, and we are often left with a system worse than what we had before. It is an exercise in showing the wisdom of experience and the prudence of reform over innovation. This proposal included a string of expectations that could never be met. The commission was billed as a way to create district maps with more logical and neatly arranged districts. But the maps we have today contained oddly shaped districts, just as the old ones did. As far as district shapes go, we have made no improvement. The commission was supposed to help take politics and bias out of the process. Yet there are allegations from 2 commissioners that another commissioner advocated for district boundaries that favored certain candidates. Even if the allegations prove false, it displays a glaring weakness in the commission. Perhaps the new system's flaws are best reflected in the decision of a panel of 3 federal judges. They declared that 13 of the maps in the Metro Detroit area are in violation of the U.S. Constitution. While the repercussions of this ruling are not sorted out, potential candidates and constituents are left in limbo for a filing deadline that is only months away. That makes this failed innovation even more expensive to taxpayers and even more clunky to facilitate. This commission is like an unaccountable 4th branch of government that gets to make up its own rules as it goes along. Commissioners have moved out of state and not resigned until after public outcry. Important meetings have been called with questionable and unfairly short public notice. There have been budget problems at taxpayer expense. There was even a recent request that's still pending, to my understanding, from a commissioner seeking a pay raise for the panel. The stated rationale is that they have more work to do now. But it could be easily argued that the work exists because it was improperly done in the first place. If anything, taxpayers should be getting their money back, not asked to pay more. I'm not going to pretend the process used in Michigan to redraw legislative maps prior to the Redistricting Commission was perfect. It obviously was not. Like any other government institution, the old system was subject to the failings of our human nature. That is why it was subject to rigorous standards which developed from experience. I am merely pointing out the fallacy of the progressive innovators. We would have been better off working toward improvements within the old system rather than abandoning it for a pie-in-the-sky fairy tale. Like any other fairy tale, there's a moral to this story. The moral here is to be cautious of progressive idealists who are quick to replace any status quo with dreamed-up fantasies not grounded in reality. Thank you, Mr. President.